Sonic, Shadow, Generations Remaster. These 4 words have been the talk of the town for the past 2 days online, thanks to recent information about a potential Sonic Generations Remaster that will make its review at the upcoming PlayStation State of Play, which is right around the corner by the time this video goes up. So the leak info was revealed by a couple well-known leakers, which has been confirmed by Super himself, which he addressed more info about this rumoured game, as well as more details seem to be making appearances now, where it's apparently a separate game that is similar to Sonic Generations but with Shadow, and not essentially a remaster port, but who knows anymore. We're just gonna play the waiting game now. And at this stage, you have probably watched multiple videos on this topic from other fellow content creators discussing about it and leaving their opinions. Now while I am jumping on the bandwagon here, I'm not going to talk about it exactly. I'm going to do my own thing and talk about what a potential Sonic Generations Remaster port could have. It has been something I wanted to talk about for a while now, and now I guess that is the time, before we actually get to see what it is. If it's actually a thing though. Still gotta take everything with a grain of salt, am I right? So I'll be splitting this discussion into 2 topics. Firstly, I'll be talking about what I expect from a Sonic Generations Remaster, and then go into detail about what I want from a Sonic Generations Remaster. Fair warning in advance, I want you, the viewer, to focus more on the expectations part, because I'm going to be realistic, because we all need to keep our expectations in check, and not just assume they're going to put everything in content wise. Because we have no idea how long this quote unquote remaster has been in development for, and who is working on it. So, keep your expectations down and don't set yourself up for disappointment. Alright, let's do this. So, what do I expect from a Generations Remaster? Firstly, if this information about Shadow being playable, then I expect him to essentially be a Sonic clone in terms of gameplay, boosting, homing attack, and the essential gameplay traits that all modern Sonic have. Shadow will have the exact same. It will most likely be the same in Sonic Forces, where before selecting a stage, you can pick which character to play as, so the same thing will apply here most likely. If you are expecting Shadow to replace classic Sonic, sorry, but that wouldn't make any sense, because that will just limit Shadow to just doing 2D levels, and I'm sure many players will not want to have that. So just make it an option to swap between modern Sonic and Shadow, and keep the 2D levels to classic Sonic, because that works for him. That way, it won't affect the story of Generations at all. I say story, I mean lack of per se. Next, graphical enhancements. Basically, just improve high quality shadows, textures, lighting, high resolution UI that the Hedgehog Engine 2 have over the original Hedgehog engine, as apparently this remaster is being built up from the ground up on the newer engine. But if it's being built from the ground up, isn't it a remake then? I don't know the proper process of calling a game a remaster or a remake, that will spark another debate for another time. But yeah, nothing too fancy with the visuals since the original generation still look great over a decade later. All it needs is just a bump of visual quality that is more possible now thanks to newer technology. Nothing special is needed. The next most likely thing is the removal of lives, as that mechanic in games is outdated nowadays, so it makes sense to remove them, like how it was removed in Colors Ultimate, even though it got rearranged as a tailsave mechanic that rarely got used, so what was even the point? Now I like to think I'm old fashioned and I would love to keep lives in video games, as it always feels rewarding to gain lives and rake up as much as possibly can, but it is an outdated feature, so it's not the end of the world. Lives will be missing here, and you know what? That's fine. We expected that anyway now. I do want to bring this up because I don't know if it will actually happen or not, and I don't mind if it does or doesn't, but I gotta talk about the soundtrack. More specifically, a remix soundtrack. With Sonic Colors Ultimate, it received a remix soundtrack of all its tracks from the original, as well as keeping the original as an option if you so desire. So, we could possibly potentially see the same happen here. If you think about it, it'll be pretty funny because we'll be getting remixes of the originals. A remixception, you could say. Again, they could follow suit with it and do it, and I wouldn't be against it. But if it doesn't happen, then that's perfectly fine, because the original remixes are great to listen to anyway. So I'm on the fence about if this will happen or not, and if it does, great. If it doesn't, eh. So overall, I don't think we'll get major differences between the original and a remaster, but I can see this happening. Now, for the fun part. What I want. These ideas are essentially a dream of what could make this generation's remaster stand out more than the original, and it most likely won't happen. But hey, one can dream though. Okay, so this one is no surprise, but I would love to have more levels added in, and I'm sure a lot of people want the same. And it's a no-brainer, but having more levels will increase more playtime and replayability, and hopefully add more variety to level themes. Now, I've seen people tweet out about porting the 3DS levels, and to be fair, it's not a bad idea. There's just a problem with it. They're all 2D levels. You'll essentially make Generations more 2.5D than an actual 3D Sonic game, or essentially another Sonic Colors game. Granted, you could remake the modern stages into more 3D, but to me that kind of feels more something you'll do for a remake, not a remaster. So, instead of that, why not just give some older levels a grand return, basically making it more of a Sonic Generations 2 game. Now, I'm not going to list all stages I would like to see because I actually have that planned for another video for another time, but if I had to give some suggestions for now, I would add in some, water level themes, snow themes, lava theme levels, forest themes, just to make it not heavily city themed, as that's a problem that I have with the original version. As in the original of Sonic Generations, there was 4 levels that were city themed, so variety was a bit lacking to say. And to add to the new themes, I would essentially have 2 levels represent each game instead of 9, just to extend the playtime of the game, because more levels means more fun, right? Essentially having 18 playable stages from Sonic 1 to Sonic Colors. Now we could include the other mainline games that came after Generations, so Lost World, Mania, Forces and Frontiers, but that may prove to be a little bit troublesome. It really depends on how long the remaster will be in development for, and plus you kind of have to reimagine how Lost World will work if it was, a boosting game, because that game wasn't really a boosting game, it was a different system. And in Mania, you would have to remake modern versions of the classics, which not so bad. Forces will be a little bit easier, and Frontiers, you've only got the islands, and then majority of the cyberspace levels were, ports from other games. So yeah. So just to play safer now, we'll just add in an extra level of each representative game and more variety in level themes, and we'll go from there. The next thing I would want is customization. Now, since Forces introduced the customization with the avatar, with the outfits, what race you could be, etc., the idea of it hasn't been far-fetched, as, it's made reappearances in Colors Ultimate, and in Frontiers, it had outfits that you could change and wear. It would make sense to give both Classic Sonic, Modern Sonic, and Shadow some customization options. It will make them look more fresh, and again, add and extend playtime, and who won't want to change their appearances? So why stop that feature when it adds more creativity and uniqueness? And if modders can do it on the PC version of Vanilla Generations, then the developers can too. I can't see why they couldn't. Plus, it would be cool to see your outfit and looks in-game cutscenes, making your experiences your own adventure. Sonic Adventure! This is something I'm not sure people will think of, but what I want to see implemented is improved boss fights. Now, what I mean by that is make them more harder, more engaging, and in doing so, it will make them more rewarding. The normal boss fights were kinda piss easy, and if you know what to do, it can be done quite quickly. Yes, there was a hard mode for the bosses that did help make some of them more challenging and longer to complete, but that could easily been the normal mode, if you know what I'm saying. So, stop making it easier for everyone and give us a challenge. Let the newcomers learn and adapt and get good. And to add on the idea of improving, give the ranking system a more skill curve. As you know, the ranking system in Generations was very forgiving when it came to S ranks times, as you could basically not be a fast player and reach the goal ring a few minutes later than your average fan, and you can still get the S rank, when in reality you really should be receiving a B or C rank at least. There were signs of tight times for S ranks in the cyberspace levels and Frontiers, but not enough, so now will be the perfect chance to make the game stand out more with its times. And that's pretty much it, honestly, when it comes to what I want in a Generations Remaster. It's not a lot, but I also don't ask for a lot, so it's kind of fitting in a way. As much as it sounds amazing and that it could possibly happen, the harsh reality is that what I want ain't gonna happen. Which is why we should really focus on what to expect with the bare minimum essentials, especially when it comes to the visuals and how Shadow could possibly play. But who knows what the future could hold for us. We could get new added levels, and I would love that for my ideal Sonic Generations Remaster, but I'm not going to get my hopes up high, and you should do the same as well. We'll have to wait and see if it makes its official debut at the State of Play. But that's enough from me. Be sure to stay tuned for any follow-up videos I will most likely do on this topic of Sonic and Shadow Generations Remaster, or whatever this game will be. Sonic's X Shadow Generations, Sonic Generations and Shadow and Knuckles, whatever it will be.